Hi, I'm Scott Sheldon, and welcome to this episode of Winegazer. Thank you so much for tuning in. So as promised, we're doing an episode on Côtes du Rhône. If you don't know what Côtes du Rhône is, it's an appellation, southern part of France. It's located in the Rhône Valley, south of Burgundy as you're heading down towards the Mediterranean Sea, the French Riviera, and technically speaking, you know, wine that's labeled Côtes du Rhône, it can come from the northern or southern part of the Rhône Valley, but virtually they all come from southern Rhône. And there's a lot of differences in the north and south part of the Rhône Valley, even though they're separated by only like an hour's distance via car. Northern Rhône, we start talking about red wine. There's only one red grape that's permitted, Syrah. You can blend in like, I think it's like another 10% of white grapes into the mix, Marsanne and Roussanne, but only red grape that's permitted is Syrah. And then when you go down and start talking about red wine in the southern Rhône, 12 different grapes can be used. The leader is Grenache, and then also Syrah and Mourvedre are other leading contenders. Some of the lesser grapes that people use blend in are Cinsault, Counois, and Carignan, and but others as well. But GSM, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, those are the three names, the three principal players in these blends from the southern Rhône. And you know, great values. You know, these wines rarely exceed $20. Both of these come in at 15 bucks each, US. And so it's a great opportunity for somebody also who's looking to explore different areas of France, to start tasting wine. Maybe you're on a budget, but you want to, you know, taste some different things. Good value plays. And so the first one comes from Guigal. 2007, Côtes du Rhône, 50% Syrah, 40% Grenache, 10% Mourvedre, 14% alcohol. Let's give it a pour. So Guigal and his son, they go through like 1,000 samples of different wines that they end up purchasing to make this blend. So it takes a lot of work to go through and get, you know, the right flavor, aroma profiles that they are looking for to make this blend. A little glance at the nice garnet color. So Guigal is one of these producers that I recommend because they've been making wine for a long time. They're really dependable, reliable, and you can find their wines in places like Bevmo and supermarkets where sometimes, you know, they only have a few different, maybe only one, you know, Côtes du Rhône wine. A good producer to look for, along with like Jabolet is another good one, 45 Parallel, you can find in supermarkets. Get some air into this. You know, flavor profiles, Côtes du Rhône wines are usually they're known for being rustic, untamed, wild, a lot of herb, leather, gaminess, that kind of stuff. But it's hard to actually pin down the flavor profile because it can be made in so many different places within the Rhône Valley, and you know, these winemakers, they have the flexibility to blend as they wish. So you know, you can have two different wines coming from two different parts of the Rhône Valley, both Côtes du Rhônes, but can be very different. Generally medium-bodied wines. They don't see a lot of oak. A lot of them are aged in concrete tanks. Maybe a little bit of seasoned oak. Generally no new oak is used. You're not going to find vanilla, toasty profiles like maybe you would find in a, you know, California Cabernet or Merlot. Let's give this wine a little smell. Attention, Captain! We've just hit a wall of funk! Woo! Wow, definitely some barnyard action coming through. Little sheep's ass, if you will. Wow. But there's definitely some leather. It's coming to this party. It's like the Hells Angels biker gang showed up at the farm. Got the jackets, got some sweat, got the animals roaming around. This is the kind of aromas that's coming through from this wine. And it's like, beyond all that, there's some fruit growing, and you can smell a little bit of that fruit, but It's that wall of funk, that wall of sweat that's coming through on this wine. Wow. Wow. Definitely a smack in the face, I'll tell you that much. Let's give it a taste. So pretty simple flavor profile. Got like some nice like black raspberries, you know, some dark, like, what is it, Kalmata olives, those Greek olives, oh, I love those, on the palate. A little bit of funk coming through as well. Let's give it another taste. Yeah, you know, nice fruit, a little bit of acid, you know, not a real lengthy finish on this wine, but definitely some nice good red fruit flavors on the palate. It's a good wine. I'm going 87 points on it. I've seen some other people, I think it's Wine Advocate, going 90 points on this wine. I don't really, couldn't really agree with that. $15, 87 points. Yeah, that's what I'm sticking to. Let's move on to wine number 2. Cercius, 2010 red wine, and very different label, if you notice. Actually, I'm going to bring back wine number 1. I'm going to look at these two together. This is more of traditional like label when I think of French wine. If you look at this label, doesn't say Côtes du Rhône, doesn't say French red wine, no appellation of anything, nor village. There's just a nice picture on it, nice beautiful, you know, artwork, and it says Cercius. And basically Cercius is the name of the the Latin name of the northwest winds that come in and really hammer this Mediterranean area. And the French name, La Mistral, for these, I'm sorry, yes, call me the butcher. I always, I'm not good with my French pronunciations. By the way, though, this Cercius is brought in by Eric Solomon, a great importer of French wine, and it is a custom cuvee teaming up with Michel Gassier and Philippe Cambet. These vines, over 80 years old, and it's a blend of 85% Grenache, 15% Syrah. So excited to try it. To me, this looks like kind of an old world, new world kind of thing starting to happen on this episode. Let's give it a pour. Interesting too, you know, when you start talking about Rhone Valley, when you look at some of these vineyards, they literally have no soil as we know it. When we think of dirt or soil, some of these vineyards are basically, you just see just fields of rocks, round rocks like the size of cantaloupe. It's really intriguing to see. And these winds that we were talking about, La Mistral, the Cercius, of course, is the Latin name, but these harsh winds that come in and hammer the vines. So you find these, you know, 75, 80-year-old, like gnarled vines, very low to the ground. In fact, some of the best vineyards are in pockets of land that are kind of protected from these harsh winds that literally rip some of these vines right out of the ground. But on the flip side, these strong winds, they actually help cool down the grapes that are in this, you know, hot, harsh Mediterranean climate, help also prevent rot and mold from happening. So some factoids for you. Check out the color, a little lighter, a little more red coming through. Let's give it a smell. So very different on the nose compared to the first wine. There's literally no funkiness, very clean on the nose, a little more floral. There's some lavender coming through, some nice crushed herbs. Like some beautiful licorice, nice red fruit, a little bit of leather coming through to boot. I like what's going on here. It's a little candified in the New World sense, but very intriguing. A lot of different components on this nose. I like it. Let's give it a taste. So more bright and acidic than the first wine. Really bright, lush fruit, red fruit, cherries, raspberries, a little bit of cranberry action coming through, strawberries, a little bit of white pepper. Give another taste. Oh, yeah. Very hedonistic, very opulent, nice round tannins coming from the skins and the stems of the grapes, because this wine is all concrete tanks, no wood used. And you'll find that in the Rhone, Southern Rhone, they don't use a lot of new oak. You're not going to find these vanilla, toasty characteristics again in the wines. More subtle flavors of oak or tannin. Let's give it another taste. Wow, this is really, really a beautiful wine. Actually almost reminds me more of a Chateauneuf du Pape than a Côtes du Rhône. Kind of less, it's like more tamed, more floral, more delicate versus the animal that you find so much in the Côtes du Rhône wines. That leather, that spice, that gaminess, that sweatiness to these wines. Almost like a jerky, like a beef jerky factor. I'm going 92 points on this wine. I like it. 15 bucks, 5,000 cases brought into the US on this wine, so hunt it out. EuropeanCellars.com. Check them out. See if you can, get it there. Maybe on K&L Wines, another big online wine source. If you're looking to find this wine, I recommend you seek it out. Great value play, great food wine, and different from some of the other Côtes du Rhône wines that you may be accustomed to. Some people write off this category like, Côtes du Rhône, I've had the Guigal, I've had this, there's nothing else going on there. I'm telling you, there's some exciting winemakers that are doing things down there. This label, again, I'm sorry to keep bringing it back, but you can just tell this label is just a symbol for what's going on. There's a revolution in Côtes du Rhône. People are saying, I don't care if it says Village. I don't even care if it says Côtes du Rhône on the label. I have the freedom. I'm using 12 different grapes. I'm doing what I want. I'm going to make some fantastic wine. And, we're going to bottle it and, screw, the French laws in terms of, how we need to, make those labels. So I really like, that whole thing that's going on there. So I'm really excited about it. I want to try some more wines that are kind of a new world style of Côtes du Rhône. So, some more information for you. Côtes du Rhône, there's some organizations, Hospice du Rhône. They have a huge festival every April in Paso Robles, California. Producers from all over the world, from not only France, producers in California, producers from Australia and New Zealand that are doing Rhône style wines. You get to meet a lot of the winemakers, get a taste the wines, and so I recommend you check that out. Also, the Rhône Rangers, check that out online. You got to Google that. I think it's rhonerangers.org. Not 100% sure, so just Google that up though if you want to learn some more information about the different grapes that are used in these wines. Let's talk about food pairing. So you want to think simple, and you want to think like meaty, lamb, hamburgers, garlic, herbs, mushrooms, earthy, meaty things, barbecue, even Mexican food, spicy Mexican food, some Mediterranean food, some garlic chicken, like a nice roasted chicken with like a lot of rosemary and garlic, potatoes. You know, those are the kinds of things they're going to go great with these wines. And you know, when you're in restaurants, also look at that wine list. Look for Côtes du Rhône, because those are a lot of the values that you're going to find on wine lists towards the bottom that are going to go great with food. You know, when you're out to eat, and some of those things, you know, they kind of sneak in under the radar. A lot of people, you know, don't know about them, and so they can be hidden gems at restaurants on the wine list. So I urge you to check out some of these wines, and I'm curious, are there any areas in France that you guys are really hot on right now? Any little sub areas, you know, in the Rhone and other parts of France that you are really keen on right now? I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to get that conversation started. So, hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you going to seek out some of these wines, get the value. You know, if you're into the funk, if you want to experience what it's like maybe to live on a farm, smelling and, you know, tasting the Guigal will give you that for sure. And then again, the Cercias and its New World approach, definitely polar opposites from what Côtes du Rhône can bring to the table. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.